I thought that I would look at this for just reading the Tiv on page Shinai Ches. Starting from there to bring us back to where we were yesterday. There's a couple ideas here. Let's see. We do know what he's talking about, and I looked a little bit at the Rishash also. So let's see how we can go into this and get that going. So we're on number Toflam and Aleph, just reading the light print. It says, Adar Rab as a yichud sheyesh the kabin bo b'shas hanachas tefillin. So Rabbi Techilach yesh the hanich tefillin shal yad, kodem sheyanich tefillin shal rosh. So that's the order. Kamo should be Rab ba'arucha. So then he said, v'hanachas the tefillin shal yad ya'asech g'shechum b'yusha v'lo b'hiyusa ma'umad. But now we're coming to the Kavanah that we should have before we put on the Tefillin. He says, the Kavanah yichud l'cholon, so he's going to explain the yichud l'chaber shtei osius rishon the shem havaya shehem shtei osius Yud and Heh. Shesod his chad b'shtei osius choladucha b'shal yak, so the idea who sod masha abba v'imam is ordered him, and I when I was reviewing this, I wanted to point this out, that he says that what happens is the Kavanah itself causes in his auras. So we're down here on the earth, and we want to really make an auras in Olam and Silas between Yud and the Yud and the K. So he says, how do you do that? It has to be aroused, and that's what we do. So that Kavanah does that. His daveg yachtav zeb zeb. So I think we see this in other places too. We see it in the Kriya Shema, where other places where you see you need this his oribus. But he doesn't say that it causes them to make a yichud. He says it causes them to be aroused to yichud. Anyway, let's go on. That's what's going on here. Because when that happens, it causes this to come in to them, this shefa to come in as a result of the yichud, and it makes the tefillin. So now that this is how you start out. So I guess I'm thinking, does he mean what stage of the tefillin are you at? Are you holding it on your arm, or is this before you do that? So he said the Kavanah alos as hey achron the b'pshuta milui im oz vav the rabbayis. So you're going to bring the two of them. So it's a hey and then it's a vav. Okay, and we'll see this. It's not the vav and the hey. He says it's the hey and the vav. So the hey starts and then it picks up the vav at the same time. So that's a little bit complicated. I think if we could look at exactly where does the vav go when it goes up, where does the hey go? But it sounds like they're going to the same place. The Hanash is oz hey im oz vav shehem hey vav. So that's the next thing. So the first thing is that the concept of this oribus, and then once you have this oribus, it doesn't say that it actually pours it out yet. Because what has to happen is you have to bring Mayim Nukvin in order at first start to pour. So again, he says, the Handisha Ma'alchas Hey im Havav Shehem Hevav, Al Os Hey Rishon Shal Havaim Kashuch B'li Milui. Just the Pashat, Hevav going to the Hey. V'aliyasa Shal Os Hey Tito im Havav, so the two of them are riding together, but the main one is the one on the bottom, which is the Hey. El Os Hey Rishon, as they go there, Zuhi HaKavanah Shal Halol's Zun Leman La'ima. So the first part is the arousal of them with the Yud and the K, but then after that you need Mayim Nukvin in order to be able to actually bring down the Shefa. So now you've done this La'ima, Shahu Heber Os Hey Titov Os Vov Im Os Hey Rishon. He switched it around. Now he made the Vav and the Hey. He says what? He says Oz the Kavan the Harid Os Hey Rishon at Peshuta. So then you're going to have the concept of now the Hey is going to come down to them. She Ima. So first it's a two-way street. So she goes they go up to her, and then she comes down to them. Al Shtei Os is Vav K Shehem Zon. Ve'inyan the choredes hey rishon the ima. So this idea here, this is the first kavanah. Al shtei osias vav and K. Whoso, this is the secret of of what? Whoso. I guess that's the secret. She'os hey iloh shehi ima. Maknisa asamochin tezarab al yedech hanai shalom. Beresha dezun shehem osias vav and K ad kan v'hu gavona shedifnera nachas Tefillin. So you haven't put on, according to this then. Okay, 1 second. We had the good old interruption. Okay, so let's get back to this. It says, okay, he a Kavanah shedifnera nachas Tefillin. So the Kavanah that we're talking about is the Yud K, the arousal first requires arousal. That's come from us. This is really my nukmin too, because we're on the bottom, and it causes an arousal. But it actually requires a further Kavanah, which is to bring the Hey and the Vav, or the Vav and the Heh, up to them as Mayim Nukvin, and this will cause the repouring back down into the Vav and the K. And now you have this. So now this is the sequence. Tik shor hatfillin al yadacha v'tivarach aleichem l'chaniach tefillin. So you put them on, and that's the next thing. So you did the arousal, and you brought down the Mayim Dukrin, and Mayim Nukvin up, and then Mayim Dukrin down. Then it says, so we're still going backwards. He was going back again to the time before you put on the tefillin, as a yichud and nizkar. In order to make this yichud take place, I guess he means what? Of Abba ve'ima? Zeh sidra. This is its order. I'm not sure exactly. He says, his order this Abba ve'ima the zivuk. So going back over it again. And then after this, the Kavanah ba'osias Hey Vav K, shebezeh nirmaz she'osias Hey Achrona, v'os Vav olim leHey Rishona b'sod olos man. So that's what we said before. He said again, shebezeh nirmaz, we had the remez here, she'osias Hey Achrona, v'os Vav olim leHey Rishona b'sod olos man, v'la'achar mekan yikavan Hey Vav Hey, Shebezeh nirmaz shenai de'ima shehi hey rishon neknas echebesod mochin bezun shehem osius vav and K. So he says this is again. I guess it was a little repeat of the concept that you had when they were going up. Of the tefillin shal yad. So you had this kavanah when you're putting on the tefillin of the hand. Keseder shedivar b'chanachas tefillin shal rosh in the same order as you did when you put on the Tefillin Shal Rosh. Now, we haven't put on the Tefillin Shal Rosh yet. Maybe he talked about it and I forgot it already, what the Kavanah was. Maybe. Okay, let's go on. Harav Masha Yesh the Kaveh B'Chanachas Tefillin Shal. Yeah, now you're putting the Tefillin on. That's why I think you see talking about all of what we had before, which is the Yud K, and then the K Vav going up, and then the upper K coming back down to that's all before you put on tefillin. But now you're putting the tefillin on. B'dechida tekavin shachat tefillin romzos also Iva Rishon. Now, so I'll just take his word for it. I just don't really understand why we're coming into Iver and Unica and Godless, why we're saying that. But it's like a development, it's developing. So his words are again, "B'techila tekavin shachat tefillin romzos also Iva Rishon, shehem bebechinas katnas Rishon shebechinas nefesh." So this is the very beginning stage. So again, what he said, "B'techila," the first thing as you're putting on the tefillin is to have this in mind. The Iva Rishon Romans the Shem Akia Pashut. So this would be in the Rishash, this would be an Akia Pashut, a simple Akia. So then he said, "V'zecha b'shem the Akia ola b'gematria Kaf Aleph." So this name comes to the gematria of Kaf Aleph. That's why we put it right here. I'm not sure. I understand what he says, but I'm not sure why you would put Akia here. But he says that because it represents the 21 askaros for who Romas al Kaf Aleph askaros sheyesh b'tefillin. So. Is this the creation of the actual act of putting on the tefillin in Olam Atzilus, so to speak? And therefore it's an akia. Akia is an I will be. Okay, so it's a potential. So therefore we're talking about that's an embryonic stage. Romsos Lizaman Hayunika. So now what did you get? You had 21 Askaros. That's an idea first. The first thing is a 21 Askaros, which refers to the unique, the embryonic stage for Ibor. And then you have the Romans Lizaman, the unique, and then you're going to have a B'Shuch B'Bechinas Ruach the Katnas Rishon. So you're still in Katnas, and you're developing this. So Zman unique aromas b'shem Havaya Pasha. So once again, you're at something very simple. It's a Havaya Pasha, believe me, Milui. So v'achasha Kavanah al zeh unique al Zman unique shehem arba parshas, and now you're moving up. You're still, though, as we understand it, Ibor and Unika or Katnas. So the Kavanah al Chabaya shel Tefillin shel Yad. Now. So what I'm trying to understand is that first he came with the, why should this end up in the bias? If it was me doing this, I would say the opposite. I said, first you need a bias, and I would have said, well, so whatever I would have said. But he doesn't. Instead he says, the Kavanah al bias shall Tefillin shall yan. So now you have really something more solid. First you start off with the names, and then you come to, the names, the 21 names, and then you come to the manifestation after that of the 4 parshios, and then after that you come to the box that surrounds the 4 parshios. So it seems like it should be, the box is really the base kibble. So I would have thought it would be the first one or something like that, and then you put everything else in it. But he didn't say that. He says, Shohomas al Iber Sheni the Gadol Sheheber Bechidas Neshama Chai Yechida, which is the highest lights now coming in, Vehem Mochin the Godless Rishon, and that's the Mochin. But he doesn't call it godless, he calls it godless Rishon. So he says, what is the Shem Adni B'Melua? So it actually is represented by the name Adni in a Milui state. Romez al Mochin the Godless Rishon, this is a reference, the Godless Rishon, Shalom, Shehem Mochin the Iber Sheni, which is the Mochin of the second line. Right, this is it calls a godless Rishon, which we also call Iber Sheni. So now he shows you the Adni in Milui. Shezech b'Shem Adni b'Meluo. So you had what? You had, so he said, V'achar shekavanta l'shlosha zamanim elu. So again, so you have Akia Pasha, then you have Havaya Pasha. Okay, little break here. And we'll wait it out. Here he comes back. We're almost, okay. So now that you have this wrapped up, Shehem Zaman Ha'iver Shuhu Shem Akia Pasha, V'hu B'chinas Nefesh, and this is the concept of Nefesh. Move this up a little bit. Pasha V'hu B'chinas Nefesh. V'zaman the unique shuhu shem havaya pasha v'hu b'bechinas ruach v'zaman hagadlus ha'nikbrach v'iber sheni the gadlus shem neshama chai yechida v'hu shem adni mole. So all of this, okay. So we'll stop right there, and we'll pick it up with God's help on the way back.